John, he can never need a dentist again. Did you know that? That's the way to be running.
Mic check.
I hear you. Oh, you know what? I think it was because of Teams. So I could hear you in Teams and they could hear you. Or something like that. I don't know.
Check.
I can still hear you. Can you hear me? As long as you can hear me, it seems to be working amazingly, like my sense of humor and all my awesome jokes. We got this. This is why we do mic checks every time. Every time. Hey Brian, give me a volume check. I want to hear how you sound compared to me.
This is a volume check to tell what I am saying is loud enough. And of course, we're doing this over our little 10-minute thing, so people can hear us, and that's fine.
So they know that we're exciting and interesting, and that there's always something to talk about and listen to as they watch the crazy little dollars float around the screen. It's mesmerizing, like the Windows 95 screensaver, with the mouse going through the maze. All right, let's try that again.
Try what again?
Exactly.
All right, I'm getting something to drink.
It is time. It is time. No. We're live right now. You're talking now, Mr. Santa. Everybody's live. Everybody's checking us out.
Man, I don't get to see that, so you got to tell me when it's time.
That's the whole point, though, is you're not supposed to see. You're supposed to what? Like act like you're surprised, like this is all fresh and new.
Still
And,
got 10
amazing.
seconds left on Rumble, so they're not even there yet. So,
No, they're not. They're about to be. Merry Christmas, everybody.
so on
We're
behalf,
back.
Merry Christmas, welcome back. We are investing with Tom and Brian. I will be playing Brian today.
You play somebody else?
I will be playing the role of Brian today,
Okay.
and you will be Tom.
How was your Christmas?
Very good. Kids had fun. Family had fun. No infighting. Very good.
No
very
infighting. You can always chalk it up as a good Christmas when there's no infighting. There's no
Yep.
drama, no politics,
drama.
nothing.
It was all just good family fun.
We hosted, so that's always it's fun to do that. You don't have to drive anywhere, but the problem is you got all these people in your house, so you feel the need to like clean your house afterwards. So
And before.
we've learned not to do that. I've learned not to do that because if I do that beforehand, it gets dirty again. So kind of what's the point?
The point is to keep up the appearance that you have a neat and clean house, so when like your mom comes over or whatever, whoever the nitpicky person is, that, oh, look how dirty their messy house is. You know, you're all
Yeah,
just cleaned up and ready to go.
I'm too old and grumpy to care about that stuff anymore.
I'm older than you, man.
That's right. So you should be older and grumpier. Grumpier. What do you say? Grumpier? More grumpy?
Grumpier. More grumpy.
More grumpy.
Not me, man.
So we have 43, for those of you watching, we got 43 months of investing on a new portfolio. So if you look at the value here, you're going to see $108,000. We started this over. Brian and I have done well independently, and because we're old guys, we don't know all this technology stuff. At least I don't. Maybe I'm not that old, but my wife worked with somebody at a bank who was able to quit his bank job doing YouTube, and I thought he's like, oh, he's a finance guy. You're going to love me. So I am telling the story over and over and over again, but that's for all the new people. I looked at his channel, right? I'm not going to name the channel, but he was talking about options and crypto. And for Brian and I, that's like exactly the opposite of what we did to do well financially. So we said, wait a minute. And I went and I talked to the guy. I says, hey, look, if people do what you're telling them to do, they're going to lose money. And there's been plenty of YouTubers out there that have done videos on finance guys on YouTube, and they have found that most of these people are losing just a ton of money. It's like 60 to 70% on average on their plays. He, when I told him that, he not only did he not agree with me, he was just like, "Oh, well, you just are stupid and clueless," and that kind of struck a nerve. So I've been investing for over 20 years now, Brian as well. When we started this portfolio together, it was if somebody's starting out at zero, if they're the average household, and the U.S. Census says they had like $400 left over every month, how would you get that portfolio to a point where you're developing enough passive income to actually support yourself to some degree, or at least pay some of your bills? So we took the $400 a month 43 months ago. A few months we increased it. A few months we did not. We bought and sold stocks along the way, and the number that you see on the screen, 108,000, is what we have today. And today we will purchase a few stocks. We do it every month, so we have to parse through everything and see what we're going to do. We've got a few things to talk about too. There's a whole bunch of stuff talking about tariffs, jobless claims, the housing market, interest rates, America's debt, fertility. I kind of want to play that into the stocks and see what might look good for us. And if you look at the portfolio, and this is, again, we're not your financial advisor, but if you wanted to see how this actually works, in 2 years we're up more than 200%. The investment income, in addition to that growth, is at about $308 a month right now. Now that's going to go up after today because we're going to be buying a few stocks. Most of that income, by the way, is also on qualified dividends. So if you look at these stocks, like these pay qualified dividends, and if you don't understand the difference between like a qualified dividend check and a normal dividend check from like an ETF or a REIT or something like that, you should probably know the difference because there's a huge tax difference, big tax differences. So if you go back to the portfolio, when we typically buy stocks, and this is just for all the new people here, we look at selling the stocks that are doing really well, and we look at buying more of the stocks that are doing really poorly. And you wonder why the heck we're doing that. The reason why we do that is because the companies that we typically buy are relatively stable companies. Like our worst performer right now, it wasn't always this way, is Kimberly-Clark. They made an acquisition. It was, I think, Kenvue, and they were sold off from Johnson & Johnson. They kind of languished with a bunch of debt that J&J gave them for about 2 years. And then now Kimberly-Clark's like, hey, opportunity. So they bought them. Book value of the stock goes down. So then the price looks like they're down 70%. They're really not, at least as far as if you include the dividend checks. They're paying close to 4 5%, somewhere in that range. So we look at the ones that are doing poorly in our portfolio because we know that for most people, unless you have nothing but bidets in the world, you need toilet paper.
Yeah, and they've been around for years and years and years. They've had up and down years, but they're not going anywhere. They're a staple in the stock neighborhood, and they make staple goods as well. So that's one reason why we like them. And I'd have to say most of the time they're financially good with their money. You know, they make good decisions with the cash that they have on hand and their investments that they make.
And they're on sale. So
and they're on sale.
Yeah, these are the ones on sale. These are the ones that are like, we saw them on sale. 3M was on sale a few years ago. And I know we only have one share of Comerica. Comerica, we saw some financial troubles with earlier this year, and we sold a bunch of them. It was about 40% profit, somewhere in that range. We didn't know that
Fifth Third was going to buy them out.
So that was one. The other one that was we looked at selling, you can see Honda Motor Corp, we reduced them. We were right about this one. So we were wrong about one and right about the other one. Honda, we were looking at most of their import tariffs that were going to affect their business. And even the CEO came out and said that, hey, this is going to hit us about 60% of net revenue. And I was like, what? That's a massive number. So we kept one share in each just to see how good our fortune telling was. And, well, Brian was really adamant about me selling Comerica. It wasn't me. I'm never wrong. So
we'll have to go back to that video and see. Yeah, see if it was me.
No, it probably wasn't. But this is so we look at these stocks as.
But you know, Tom, that is kind of a thesis to why we buy and hold stocks forever. You know, well, mostly forever, because you never know when the Fifth Third buyout is going to happen. So if you just hold it, it doesn't hurt you. It's up. You're making profit on that. You'll make even more profit, and you're already positioned to get that.
I want to get back to the holding forever part of that, because if you hold a stock for a year, these are qualified. See this qualified dividends: $21, $40, $20. This money that's not taxed unless you make just a ridiculous amount of money in dividend checks, up to about $90,000. 92, I think, something like that. Yeah. You get that. Without paying any taxes. So that's the reason why I do that. Now, if you're not in a really high tax bracket, you're in a low tax bracket, it might make sense for you to buy one that pays ordinary income, because then, if your tax bracket's low, it's not going to affect you as much. But if you're in a high tax bracket, it affects you. And it affects you a lot. I just paid a massive tax bill this month, and it was painful. It was like, man, it's more than I used to make. Why am I doing this? But
if you're doing this and you are in a low tax bracket because you make low money or whatever, you're below the poverty level or whatever the case may be, and you keep doing this, you're eventually going to increase your profit and your income, and you'll end up in another tax bracket.
Well, I'm already in the poverty level tax bracket. I run a small business, man. That's what that's all about.
And but that's a good thing, That's a good problem to have, right?
Being in the poverty bracket because you're on a small company. That's a good thing.
No, increasing your income to get to the next tax bracket.
Tom, you run a small business, so therefore you being broke is totally fine.
That's because
okay.
the government hates you. They hate small business.
Well, I think they love small business. The small business paying all the taxes. So when we back to this real
Yeah.
quick before we jump into the News Start articles in the portfolio. So again, it's very unusual the method that we use. So you've got Kimberly Clark, you got Campbell's Soup here. These are the ones that we like the most right now because they're on sale. You got these ones up here that we're thinking, oh crap, well it's up 100%. So does that mean that like the company grew that much, or did their balance sheet grow that much, or are they actually more physically healthy? So the things that we do every month in the channel, we encourage people to chat, ask us questions, throw us random stocks. We've had people do that over time, where they just kind of ask us, hey, what do you think about this company? Most of the time, though, I'm not going to lie, the picks are interesting. It's like, did you pick this stock because you want us to troll it? Like, these guys are awful. Why are you making us pick these
Yeah.
companies?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to throw a percentage out there, probably 90%. 90% are companies that we look at, and it's like their finances are in disarray. I mean, it does not look great to invest in these guys right now. But there's usually some sort of Reddit article or some, could have a product, it could have a service, it could have something that's going to pop in the future, and they're trying to get to the bottom barrel of this stock so that they can make an easy, few bucks on it. But
There's a lot
so
of that in the market.
every once in a while they throw us one. It's like, oh wow, this actually looks pretty good. That's that 10%,
Yeah.
So I still encourage people to do it to get that diamond in the rough, right?
Yeah. That's and like I said, there's a lot of the thing I caution people against, and the reason why we buy the companies we do is not just for the qualified dividends. It's for like if you look at our cumulative rate of return here, it's a 23.44%. For about a year and a half roughly, and then you can see that this year we gained about $15,000 just excluding any contributions in that same period. So like I said when we started this, it's going to start off slow. We knew that. We still think that we're 3 years away from people going, oh wow, they really do know what they're doing. And that's because I can't, in the stock market, you can't just like magically make the return show up instantaneously. Like it takes time. They say, well, trying to time the market. No, time in the market will always trump timing the market, and that's kind of something I want people to understand. Is if you decide to do something like this, it's gonna take time and like a lot of discipline. Because if you give AT&T, like look at AT&T here. I'm gonna pull them up for just a second. I'm gonna pick on
Yes,
them.
you can win the lottery, right? You can be the guy in Arkansas that won 1.81 billion, right?
I mean, $200 million after taxes.
Well, the take home is 785 million after taxes next year. It'll probably be around 450 to 500 million.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
$1.8 billion down to like 400 million after taxes.
because that's immediately putting them at the top of the tax bracket. But
So I got
anyway,
AT&T pulled
my
up.
point was, yes, you can, but there's very few people that actually make that, and in this case, it was 1 out of 50 consecutive drawings, right?
Right. Now, in case anybody wonders, Brian normally is with me on the stream. He's not today because we have like an ice storm going on, and our neighbor, I guess I heard a leaf blower over there. I don't know what he's doing, but okay. So
I guess
it's
because
kinda-
all the snow melted over Christmas, he's blowing all the leaves that was left out. Who knows?
I guess so. So I guess we've got AT&T pulled up here. I talked about like not trying to time the market, tax income, and discipline. And the discipline part is probably the hardest part. If you look at AT&T stock, I want people to notice something. I've said the ebb and the flow of the market. You can see over specific periods of time, there will be balloons that happen, and the stock will wave like kind of like the ocean when the tide comes in, or when it goes out, depending upon the cycle that you're in. So if you look at these Ds stand for dividend checks. Now, if you gave AT&T $1,000 back in, I don't know, 2002, so let's say you decided to jump in the market after this ridiculous dot-com bubble, You can see it. And you said, hey, I'm going to give you $1,000. Well, they're going to pay you 20 cents per share, and the percentage is based on that. And then back then they were paying, they paid for a while between 5 and 10%. In fact, around here they were paying close to 9.5%, which just honestly wasn't sustainable. But I bought AT&T in about late 2006. So I'm going to say if you jumped in around 2003, 2004, something like that, they would give you on $1,000 roughly like $40. Thinking, oh God, that's nothing. This is ridiculous. I'm not gonna. Why am I giving $1,000? Well, the thing that you need to pay attention to is when AT&T raises their prices, when their finances look better, when the business does better, they tend to raise their dividends. Most companies that are stable will pay around a 30%-ish of their net revenue and earnings. Now, when you see these companies come out and say, hey, we're going to pay 30% of all like gross earnings and revenue, they can't do that. That's not sustainable forever. They're just trying to raise capital, because when you buy a stock, company gets money to invest in themselves. It's not like a bank where the bank dictates that, hey, you got to pay an interest rate, you got to pay a loan rate on this, and you have to pay us back. If you buy a stock, company goes bankrupt, you just out the money. Now, I've said it before, I've been trolled on this before, that when I buy a stock, I see that as a loan. And they have to pay us back. And I want to know how much I'm giving them. I want to know what they're going to do with it. I want to know how long it's going to take them to pay me back. And I want to know exactly when they think after those projections, they're going to give us our money back. So I see it as a loan. So back to AT&T, you give them the $1,000, sure, they're going to pay you $40 or whatever. Or in this case, you're going to get, I think it was like 5% back then. So you're going to get about $50 throughout the whole year. But look at this every year. So you start out at 20 cents per dividend check per quarter. Now you're at 24 cents 2004, you get 25 cents, 31 cents, 32 cents. I mean, you're getting pay raises. Now, AT&T famously cut their dividend a few years ago, so you're going to see that in a second here. But they 38 cents, and that's 39 cents. Oh, there's a big, where'd it go? There it is. Spin-off dividends. So they had this is a whole different conversation. They had a spinoff. So a lot of big companies, for tax reasons or just trying to like streamline their company, will split themselves off into other entities. This happens a lot more than you would think. Like, it's really common. In fact, the stock we're looking at today, Kimberly-Clark, that one has a purchase from a spinoff from another company that happened 2 years ago. So like, this is constantly happening. But I'm not going to talk about that just right yet. But if you can, so they cut their dividend from 39 cents down to 28 cents. And then now you're all the way back up to roughly, I think they said somewhere about 29, 30 cents a share for the next year. But think about that. From, even if you include the cut, back to here, 20 cents, 21 cents a share. Even today, you are at 28 cents a share. So you have gone up by 40%. Just your pays. This is one of the worst examples that I can pull up. And that's the reason why I pulled them up, is because there's much better examples. Like if you pull up, I don't know, it goes one of the other positions in our account. And we've got, I like picking on Fastenal too, because they're right next to AT&T.
And Azrix asked about oil companies, if we've looked at them.
Yeah,
we got Exxon and Chevron, and
we do. Ooh, I'm going to talk about splits another day. Basically, you're if it's a reverse split, that's bad. If it's a normal split, that's good, because now your dividend check gets doubled most of the time. Depends on how they do the split.
If it's a 2-to-1 or a 10-to-1 or whatever.
Yep. So that's a big pay raise right there. But look at these guys, just the regular dividend. I'm going to go back to the same exact time around 2006. So they're paying 3 cents a share. These guys make like nuts and bolts. It's not exciting. So 3 cents a share. 2015, we're at 7 cents a share, or 2016. And then you go all the way up to 2022, 15 cents a share. And today, where are we at today? I don't know, 22 cents a share. So you almost went up like 8 times, 800% almost. And just that, so the dividends
over the
themselves.
Last 19 years.
Yeah, you get pay raises. So that go back to the $1,000 I was talking about with AT&T. You're getting pay raises. It's like inflation proof. and actually lately inflation's been 9,000%. So I don't know if it's going to even cover that, but like for the most part, you're covered. And then to answer your Chevron, we could take a peek at them real quick while we go through this, but we have ExxonMobil right here. They're up about 20% on our portfolio. We bought them a while ago. I think they were, when did we buy these guys?
That was one of our first ones, like third or fourth one.
Yeah, let's take a look. Transaction history. Last 6 months, it's only been like paychecks. Let's go, last 12 months, did we buy them in the past year? I don't think we did. No, we're just getting dividend checks. See? $80 untaxable. I can go to McDonald's. I'm here all day, folks. Chevron was the other one.
Yeah, Chevron's not doing as well as Exxon.
They moved their headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was this year. So we got with Chevron right now. Same thing. Last 6 months, just dividend checks. Let's do all of Chevron. Show me all. Show me everything. We did buy them this year. We bought them in May.
We added, right?
Yeah,
we added to it.
Yeah, because you can see like qualify. Look at all this. Look at all these paychecks.
We bought again in January of 2024.
I've got little children, and this $4.53 is 453 horsey rides at Meijer. It's still a penny. We got kicked out of the store.
Sandy.
It was free.
Sandy the horsey ride.
Yeah, we bought them originally. We bought them in 2022.
Yep.
And it was our $400 a month purchase, and we used previous dividends to do it. So that's why it's $490. So we've had.
We're getting a whole $90 in dividends back then.
Yep. And I remember somebody asked me like how long does it take it to become a qualified dividend? The sale of a stock is a year, but I think the dividends themselves to get the tax advantage, I think you only have to hold them for 60 days before their next earnings. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it is.
I'm quoting you. It's done. I've written it down.
Yeah, somebody to troll me sometime. I'm going to be on like USA Today. It's like, hey, this one time you said.
But you said.
And this is, folks, is why you have to have 10 different degrees to do what we do. No, that's
liar. You're a liar. That's all there is to it.
So Chevron. So I've noticed something that if you're talking about oil companies, and we can pull them up here. Let's start with Chevron. Why not? I
right
found it very interesting. During, I'm a little political, but during Democratic administrations, oil companies tend to do really well because the price of oil goes way up because of regulation restrictions. Most of these oil companies trade on like margins that are already set. So your margin, if it's 10% and a barrel of oil is $10, you're going to make $1. If it's $100, you're going to make $10.
Now, this is one of those instances where historical earnings or historical differences do not necessarily equate to future, profits, because I think the script is swapped a little bit with the Democrats going for solar and different energy ways of getting energy and kind of poo-pooing on coal and oil, whereas Republicans now are for coal and oil. So I think that script has flipped over the last 8 years.
I'll believe it when I see it. Every time I see like, and I tend to be independent. I lean right, but I tend to be more independent. But when I see like, and so this is historically, anytime you get a Republican in office, oil companies do great. I'm sorry, a Democrat in office, the oil companies do great. When you get a Republican in office, they tend to not do so well because the price of oil goes down. Their margins get exploded, and it's all very it's interesting because then they get these tax advantages so that you don't
right.
see anything for the next year. So then like let's say they kick the Republicans out, Democrat comes in and he's like, oh, hey, what's with all these tax incentives? No, we're going to regulate them. We want to put that money into like what you just said, oil and solar. And, so they get all the tax incentives from the previous administration, the current administration that comes in, whoever it is, if it's a different party, kills all that. So the revenue looks really good for the years that weren't even applying to like if a Republican or Democrat was in office. It's like,
yeah,
it's really weird to see it.
And what puts a monkey wrench in that whole theory is MAGA. It's the Donald Trump era. has kind of.
I would sustain that is hurting the revenue of these companies because you're not restricting supply as much, and because of that non-restriction of supply, that's going to affect their revenue, and you can kind of see that in these guys when you look at the interest expenses. You can see that they're going down. You even look at their operating income. You can see Q3 2024 total operating income 5.4, and then it drops down to 4.8. So it's pretty much happening that way, and we can look at that with ExxonMobil as well. But the translation for most people, now I'm not going to get like too political here, but is that like, hey, look, the price of oil is cheaper, so then therefore the gas prices are cheaper for my car. But they're not thinking about what that does, especially with all the regulation within the business itself. So like within Chevron and ExxonMobil. So typically I would expect that if Trump gets kicked out, Republicans don't win again next administration, Democrats come in, they win, that then would be a better time to like take some profit because they're going to do really well. But right now, honestly, I think that it might not be a bad time to buy. But yeah, see, all this stuff looks... You can see it. You can see it in their balance sheets. It's really fascinating. This is from their move, by the way. When you look at all this, like look how expensive it is for these guys to move. That's crazy. And it's only $3 billion. Pocket change. Pocket change. So I would, if you're looking,
well, you're making $10 billion. Yeah.
How much did they make? I forgot what I didn't have their quarterly pulled up. I didn't have their annual pulled up. Let me pull up the annual. So they had their net revenue. We're going to look at operating.
The operating was $20 billion. Yeah.
Yeah. Good Lord. $17.6 billion. They can afford to make less money for a year or two. No offense, guys, but geez. So I don't know. I would look at if you're looking at buying an oil company and you're looking at like how current administration's policies affect them, because they do. I think it's silly for somebody to say, "Oh, I don't talk politics and stuff." Well, you kind of have to. You have to talk geopolitical events, world events, and actually see how they affect the businesses as you're buying. Like for example, if you're looking Brazil, Petrobras, the whole thing with Venezuela and all that's going on with the kind of almost like a blockade, it affects the business. So,
yeah. If you don't want to talk politics, you have to absolutely look at and discuss the governmental policies, regardless of what the political climate is. The policies that whoever's in office creates affects these companies.
We wouldn't even have a channel if, like, what would you talk about? You'd be talking about like, okay, well, their triple ply toilet paper was more efficient this month because they used 10% less cardboard, and it's just nicer to wipe with. It's smoother.
They're using better wood pulp. I don't know.
You'd have to say it every single stream. Like, what do you talk about? There's nothing to talk about. So let's look at these dividends, because if you're I'm assuming if you're buying them, you're not going to buy a company like this for growth. You're probably going to buy them for income. So these would be qualified income. These would be qualified dividends. And first thing, like, I'm going to go back to the earnings real quick. You want to look at a few metrics. First of all, your financial advisor is going to tell you whether or not you should do this. But the second thing, you want to make sure that their total revenue right here is pretty consistent. Given the fact that everything uses oil products, probably going to be pretty consistent. Chevron is the number 2. They're not number 1, they're number 2. They keep kind of trying to get up there, and ExxonMobil keeps knocking them back down. You also want to look at their operating income. Now, obviously, 2020, this will be nice when this year gets off the books, because most businesses decided that this year, we're going to write off everything. We're going to
one more year, baby.
That has a part to play in the debt conversation we're about to have. So you want to see a good operating income. You don't want to see negative operating income, because if they're going to pay you a dividend check, it's got to come from something, and you want it to come from like a product or a service. You don't want it to come from, hey, we sold our buildings. Yeah, great. That's a one-time sale. So don't do that. You want to make sure that there's still net income there, make sure their assets are going up, make sure their liabilities are going down, that kind of stuff. basically, can they balance their checkbook? And that's I don't want to get into all the nerdy numbers. I've done that before, and I watch her viewership just go. I'm getting all excited about the numbers and the nitty gritty finances stuff, and people are like, "Yeah, dude, you're in a world on your own."
Boo.
No. So we're not going to do that. If you want me to, send me a message. I can send you that stuff. But Chevron right now, if you're looking at them, you want to look at something called the trailing price to earnings. Now, what that means is the price of the stock relative to how much money they made over the last 12 months. You want to see how they're doing this year compared to what they were doing last year. And if we do that here, where is their TTM on Schwab? I gotta pull that up. I keep forgetting where this stuff is on this platform. News. No, I want to go to dividends. Let's look at dividends too. Earnings. There they are. Good grief. Price to earnings trailing 12 months, 21.25. There you go. So they say that right now their forward price to earnings is going to be lower. They expect that the stock's going to go down a little tiny bit. And this is kind of these are like the quick first blush, blush numbers that most analysts will look at just to say, hey, is this company actually doing okay? So let's see, if we look at their forward PE, kind of low, price to earnings ratio right now. Normally the stock market, you want to look at the index funds, look at the price to earnings ratio of the entire index. I remember when I started doing stocks and started doing investments, it was trailing like 12 months. It was around 12 times. So you give them $1, they got to spend 12 to pay you the $1 back. Then it went up to 18. Everybody was like, oh my God, it's so high. And then it went up to 20 and everybody was freaking out back in late 2018, 2019. And now it's like 30 something.
I think it's like 35.
Yeah, which is, so for the whole history of the stock market, it was always around 12.
Yeah.
And now we're 35. It's 3 times that. And I remember
and it's even more than the 2000.com bubble, you know.
I
think that was 22 or something.
we can get into that conversation pretty soon. So I'm gonna, if you're gonna buy a company, plan for the worst, because here's something to keep in mind with Chevron. Now, this might not be this way next year, but this is why you might not want to buy them, because A, we're in what looks to be like a recessionary environment, like kind of like a negative economic contraction. People aren't doing as good this year as they were doing 2 years ago. And I'm going to blame the current administration or even the last one. This is something that's been going on for like 25 years. So actually even a little bit before that, if you count the 80s interest problem. But if you're buying this company, don't plan on a lot of growth yet because of that. And this is any company. If you're buying them, though, pay attention for the income that you want. If you're buying this like, hey, I need to make some money, look at this payout ratio. Right now, they are paying out 97% of their earnings in dividends. Now, if you're a business owner and you're making 2.54% net revenue, you probably don't have enough money for Christmas bonuses. So not a good metric. Typically what you want to see is the payout ratio 40% or lower. It depends on the business. If it's an REIT, it's going to be a lot different. ETFs are a completely different conversation. Dividends coverage ratio here is about 100%. So they're covered, but they're not well covered. I would say that's razor thin. So I would avoid these guys for that reason. Are we selling their stock? No. It's just not a good time to buy it. So there's your answer for Chevron. ExxonMobil, we can look at them very briefly because we've got other things to talk about today too. Is it really? I mistyped X and there's an OM. Outset Medical, Omnicom Group. Okay, we'll look at that later. Maybe, probably not. We'll never get some call from that guy. Hey, you passed us over. We're actually a good business, you jerk. No, so ExxonMobil, let's go to their dividends. 3.46, lower percentage, but a little bit healthier. And you can see some pretty consistent increases here. Those are those pay raises that I've talked about. So that's not bad. Here we go. So between ExxonMobil and Chevron right now, today, if you go back and you looked at our videos, 2023, 2024, the numbers had flipped. That's why we bought Chevron and we didn't buy ExxonMobil back then. So timing does play a little bit of a part to play in this, but their payout ratio is still high. It's 57% of earnings. When we bought them, it was like 25. It was really low. And their coverage ratio is decently covered. I'd say they'd be okay right now. So between the two, if you're looking at oil companies, right now I like Exxon a little bit better, more than I do Chevron. And I don't know if I don't know. I don't think right now is a good time to expect growth in this sector. But that's just me, and I'm a pessimistic jerk.
Right.
So
You are. And
You
the
have
whole
to be.
solid state battery equation for this, I think if you're looking at the solid state batteries to be a disruptor into the segment here, I don't think gasoline automobiles are going away anytime soon to affect these guys. And even if the batteries do come out and they're amazing, I think the companies that I'd be looking at are the companies that supply or make the batteries, not the car companies or the oil companies for that matter. And one thing that we don't have in this country is an electrical grid that could sustain everybody to have an electric car. If everybody's charging at night and everybody has one, the grid's going down. They're cutting people off.
I think Samsung just came out. Whoop, Samsung solid state battery.
I know LG is working on it as well.
Yeah, here we go. So this is solid state batteries. I see a lot of this. I see a lot of people talking about like, well, you want to invest in AI like OpenAI. God, don't look at their finances.
No,
Don't do that. Don't peek under the hood. It's not a V8. It's a little hamster on a wheel.
they don't make money. They get money from companies to
And people.
invest in in the technology that they're creating, but they don't make money yet. Maybe in the future they will, but yeah, these guys are a little bit better than the AI companies at that.
Do I think like OpenAI is a bad business? No, I don't think
No.
I think they're a victim of hype. And even like Sam Altman said, that's like, hey, you're bubbling us. Don't do that. And it's a lot of fear of missing out. And we've had these conversations where I've told people like, look, don't try to go for the home run. Don't try to win the lottery with this stuff because you won't. The house
Any more than
always wins.
NVIDIA or Tesla are bad companies. I mean, they might not be worth the valuation that they're at, but they're not bad companies.
No, and I think when we buy stocks, we look at the underlying fundamentals, which really, especially when you're on the social media space and you're looking at all the other YouTubers and financial people out there that are like 99.9997% hype, and they're all super excited about it, but they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Excuse my language. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have investments. They get paid from social media. Our YouTube channel paid me a whopping, like here, I'll just show everybody. We make a lot of money on YouTube. It's here, hang on. It's amazing. Analytics. Here we go. $5. I'm gonna cry now. Anyways.
$5.79. Okay, now change it from the last 28 days to lifetime.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Lifetime. All right, I gotta go back. Yeah, maybe we put it back now. I gotta move all these windows around. Hold on, everybody. $100.
$100, baby.
$100. When we talk to people about stocks, we talk to people about finances. It is not coming from the same places as these other streamers. Like this is like money that we've, at least for the company that I've made outside of it. So when you're looking at these people trying to sell you stuff, be careful. I hope that I'm never, and if I do ever get to that point where like I start becoming this like shill guy, somebody slap me. I'll
slap you.
But I guess so back to the solid state battery stuff. The reason why I bring that stuff up, and I think the reason why we're talking about this is I would be more concerned about who's got the patent rights on this technology. It is evolving very rapidly. HP came out with a battery that lasted 24 hours, and by accident, somebody coated the contacts for the battery with silicon, and it made it so that it didn't degrade. Like you could do 10,000 charging cycles, and the battery just didn't die. So Samsung, this is as of like a week ago, had an article that said that, hey, we're aiming to revolutionize EVs with near high efficiency density. So basically what it means is most of the batteries in lithium ion capacity right now can get you about 300 miles of range without too much degradation. Samsung has this new solid state component that is 600 miles of range. And that's amazing. The problem, all the EVs that are on the road right now, they're probably worthless in a few years, because why would you drive an EV that basically can't go anywhere after 7 or 8 years? Like at least my Porsche the V8 can still run, and if I need to rebuild it, it's only like the engine, it's only a couple $100,000 billion. Now it's like $4,000 to build it, but the
Well, you're looking
problem
at
is,
15 grand to pull the batteries out of an EV and put new ones in.
right. So the nice thing about the new solid state batteries is that they have a 30% increased capacity. So the density is much higher and the weight is much lower, which will really help when you're looking at something like the Tesla Cybertruck that weighs almost as much as a semi and would kill anything. Now, if you run over a squirrel with one of those, at least they won't suffer. If you run over a person, they probably won't suffer either, because these things are heavy. So and that's causing issues with tire wear. So you're going to wear out more rubber. It's causing issues with the road commissions and road departments, because you're tearing up the roads a little bit more because they're weight rated before they start cracking. So when anybody comes to me and they say, hey, let's talk about solid state batteries, I would like to say, okay, what mining company are you talking about? They're like, what are you talking about? I said mining, because you need the raw materials to produce these solid state batteries. And the most recent ones that Qualcomm and TSMC talked about were actually salt. Like
What are they made out of?
salt battery. So lots of salt out there, we got these big oceans, and you can just kind of fix some of the water problems with that. But you need to look at who is sourcing the materials for these manufacturers to produce these batteries, because this technology is like, it's almost like watching me look at different finances for different businesses. Oh, squirrel. Ooh, squirrel. Ooh, squirrel. Like, it's changing all the time. And I like comparing this to the automotive industry. If you look at the number of automotive companies that have come out since like Ford produced it wasn't like, they didn't invent the car, right? But they did invent the manufacturing process that made it more efficient. Ford is one of only like 3 companies that have made it without bankruptcy. Now, one of them of those 3 did actually go bankrupt, and they had to restructure from then until like the early 1900s until today. Out of thousands, like you're talking 5,000-6,000 companies in the automotive space that were all great investment opportunities that never really went anywhere.
Yeah. Just look like Tucker or DeLorean. I mean, DeLorean had a lot of promise before, the drug problems, but yeah, they had a lot of promise.
I like the DeLorean, except it weighed, again, it's like a EV car now. It weighs 10,000 pounds.
It was aluminum. Yeah.
So the stainless steel frames and aluminum ones that they had later on, it's I think when you're looking at good opportunities for solid state batteries, and this is going to be very kind of controversial for the social media space. You want to look at utility stocks, because they've got energy rights to use this stuff. So think Consumers Energy, DTE, Enron.
Devon.
No, not Enron. Enron. But like you're looking at companies that will actually use this, and then also supplying. So mining, maybe like production, because you want to look at presence and footprint. You're not looking for, again, the lottery ticket here.
Rather find the company that supplies to LG and HP and Samsung. So they're supplying to all of them rather than just one of the companies that are making the batteries.
Look at Tesla. Man. He said solid state batteries, so I pulled up Tesla. They're an EV. Elon Musk has got other businesses too, but If you look at they're trading at their all-time high.
Watch, they'll
if you
split
hold,
again.
great if you hold the stock, but when you give a business again money to invest, they have to do something with it. I want to see what they're going to do with it. Do I think Tesla's a bad business? No. Do I think the Me Too movement for stocks joined the ship? Yeah, them and all the Mag 7 stocks. Probably one
There's
of
a
the
lot of FOMO. There's a lot of FOMO out there.
There is. Probably the businesses I would say that are stable outside of that would probably be like Microsoft, Google, Amazon. But they're still like, again, go back to the trailing earnings. These businesses are not making the money that people are throwing at them. So they have to do something with that money. And if it doesn't pan out, what looks great today and will probably continue to be a musical chair party for the next 2 years will have a problem 2 to 3 years from now. So do I have a crystal ball on when? No. But I think that, like, sure, solid state batteries are great. I think the technology is amazing. I'm not personally buying an EV just yet. But do I think that it's going to be something that's going to make you rich? Probably not. I don't think you're going to get rich buying a stock like this. And this is from 24 years of experience, also making lots of money in the market myself. So do I think that there are people who do that? Yes. But if you look at the IRS and the U.S. Census on how much people actually make in the market, most people lose money, especially the options and day traders. Look at those. Is 98% of the people that day trade and do options lose their money, and only 1% of the people break even. So 1% of those people, so 1 out of 100, actually make money doing that. And
Right.
typically,
And if you're buying,
go ahead.
if you're buying these, if they're not paying a dividend, you're hoping that they go up. And if they don't go up, you're not making money. But if they do pay a dividend and it's a decent one they can afford, then you're getting money on a quarterly or biannually or annual basis, whatever they pay out. And if they go up, you're also getting the growth. So there's a double-edged sword with this one.
Yeah, you're not going
That's why we like dividends.
Yeah, you're not going to get the lottery with this stuff. Now, I would also say that Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, yeah, think of them of what you will, but they made billions of dollars on modest, well-fundamentaled returns, about 20% per year. It's right where we're at. I mean, our cumulative return, as we just showed it earlier in the stream, is 23.5%. So we're right there with them, and it works. You don't want the lottery ones. You want the consistent, predictable ones. And no, you're not going to quit your job tomorrow. So do a good job at your job. But like I said, it's going to be very difficult to find a business that does it. So if you're looking for a lottery ticket, I don't know if I can help you there. But hopefully that did help you. Hopefully that did give you some answers that you were looking for, because that's our idea. But like I said, when you're trying to get money and you're trying to get returns, you're not going to get 23%, 200%. You're not going to get like qualified dividend, untaxable income of $308 a month, soon to be about, probably, I think by the time this is done, it's probably going to be somewhere around like 312, 315 or something like that per month. So, I mean, you're not going to get this stuff by buying those companies. And I've got another story, very briefly, we can pull this up too. Well, you wanted to talk about this, Brian. I bought back when they were talking about indoor farming and hydroponics farming, there was a SPAC. Now, if you don't know what a SPAC is, SPAC, it's like a special acquisition company or a special acquisition investment group that will try to buy businesses that are trying to go public. So you're getting in at the ground floor of the investments. Like you're getting in before everybody else does. You're the man. You got it. Most SPACs go bankrupt, by the way. But like I got in.
Have to describe it that a SPAC is a way to go public without going through the IPO process and spending all that time and money and energy. The company that buys you is already public, so when you get purchased, you just get automatically put into that. So SPAC 101.
SPAC 101. There you go. That's your technical explanation from Brian.
See, I know things too.
I'm still here, Tom. So I bought hydroponics is a big thing back then. And I saw this company called Aero Farms, and I thought, wow, they're able to like grow lettuce and do all these things like spinach and a lot of greens. They're able to do this with like a very low energy footprint. They only needed like 3% of water. They didn't need any dirt. There was no pesticides. It was an amazing thing. I was like, man, these guys are going to be it. So think about this with solid state batteries. I thought, man, I should buy this. So I gave the SPAC $10,000. And that's, for me, that's not a lot. Maybe it is because I'm running a small business. Maybe next year it'll be a lot. Maybe it'll be my life savings. Who knows? But so I gave him $10,000, and I thought, well, maybe if they go public, this would be good, because there was at the time, California Lake Mead was basically like, you're sipping through a straw in California because there's no water. And there are still NASA satellites in space looking at ground level water measurements and showing that we're going to be in trouble soon. So I thought, well, let's try to fix the problem by throwing investment money at businesses who are trying to solve problems instead of saying we're all going to die. So I put the money in $10,000 in the SPAC. And by the way, there's advice there. I lost
How'd that work out for you?
I lost $3. That's one of the only 3 investments I've ever made that have lost me money in 24 years. And the reason is they didn't actually go public, and they just filed bankruptcy a few months ago. Big corporate America, Monsanto, and I guess Bayer now. But they all came in and they said, hey, you can't do that. And the farmers are like, you're evil. And I was thinking, man, the logistics, and it's kind of like why you never see set tax rates from the government, because the whole accounting and tax preparation industry would basically not exist anymore. So they decided that they were going to shut them down. They had 9 facilities. Long story short, it didn't work out. And I saw them as the kind of like these solid state battery guys is the next big thing. Because I thought, well, look, if you put one of these warehouses in New York City, you're cleaning the air because plants do that. And you don't have to pay for semi trucks to go from the Midwest to New York. You can just you can have the store on the first floor, and the next 60 floors are all plants. And you could
all you got to do is take over one of the defunct buildings that are there and buy one of those, and you've got an automatic building right there. You don't even have to build anything. Just take over one of the office buildings.
Which Brian just said Detroit's the next big thing.
Yeah.
All the blight.
Oh, my poor Lions. They self-destructed on Christmas Day. But
I saw that.
Moment of silence for the Lions. That was frustrating.
Well, that's a moment of silence. That's over. So anyways.
Next year.
We have to move on before we get angry. But the point I'm trying to make to people is that when you're trying to do investments, you want to make investments in businesses that you know are going to be stable, especially if you don't have a lot of money to burn. And I'm supposedly doing well. Brian's supposedly doing well. We don't feel like we have money to burn, so we're trying to be very fiscally responsible. So if you're making less than $700,000 a year, you probably don't have money to burn either. So be careful with investments like that. You want to be smart about what you're doing. And like I said, if you're getting dividend checks, now here's what we do. If you do want to still do that kind of thing, we're taking, so you saw the $308 a month, we're taking our dividend checks, and we probably will do it again today, and we're buying companies that we feel that might actually grow quite a bit with just the dividends. So we're not taking our seed money, we're taking the fruit of that. We're taking the money that grows from our original investments and using that to fund maybe a little bit more speculative investments. We're buying Rumble stock with that, and you can see that we've bought $3,300 with Rumble stock with mostly just dividends. And that's kind of that's a speculative play. Trust me, that's their finances. They don't look great. They're still alive, but they don't look great. But we believe
talking about that wave that you showed earlier with AT&T going up and down, and that just gradual wave over months. This is like a daily up and down.
Yes, it is. They really are.
It's very volatile. So like if you're doing short selling or puts calls and stuff like that, then this is a great stock because there's a lot of volatility. But we're in it because we believe in the platform. We believe in what they're trying to do with, letting everybody talk and have free speech. So this is more of a morality play. and we think at $7 they're low. Are they still 7? Are they 6? 6, 7?
Yeah, 677. Schwab
6
disagrees with
3/4.
you. So does CFRA. Does more? Argus doesn't. Argus likes what you think.
Yeah. If they can hold out and start making money, I think they'll be a competitor to YouTube.
No offense, YouTube. We like YouTube as well.
No offense, YouTube, but we need competition. Without competition, you get stagnation.
Right. And on that note, we're going to move on. So the Rumble, we bought like $3,300. If you look at the portfolio, $108,000. It's not even 3.5–4% of our portfolio. So even then, when you're talking about risk, solid state batteries, EVs, all the Mag 7 stocks, our risk footprint is like non-existent. We try to be very careful with this stuff. So we're talking about, I mean, General Dynamics is war stuff, but you got Rio for your mining. This is our solid state battery play right here. And they're up 26%, and they pay a pretty nice dividend. It's about 3.5%. I think they can afford it too. So if you're looking at that and we want to actually answer the question, which we probably should, I would say, look how inconsistent that is. They're cyclical. Mining and energy businesses are like that, but they're pretty well covered. Payout's a little high, but I would instead point you just towards something like this. It's kind of like the automotive industry. It's like, well, would you do automotive? Like, no, I'd look at Gentex instead. Really, Gentex? Like, well, they supply to them.
Yeah,
So
Magna.
Yeah, Magna Donnelly, that'd be another one, but that's yeah, I don't know. So like the thing I like, and before I'm going to look at these finances really very quickly. So bear with me, everybody. Campbell Soup and Kimberly-Clark, those are our worst two performers right now. I want to buy these. Campbell Soup because they have like lab grown meat apparently. Yum. No, apparently
They said they don't.
They
said they don't. So we'll see in the next year or two if they actually do. If there's a investigative reporter out there that does their job and finds out.
So here's a philosophical argument about Campbell Soup. Do we care? Like, do you care? I like Campbell Soup. I like their clam chowder. They're chunky soups. I like those. So the CIO guy who's like, oh, only poor people buy those. Like, hey, jerk. I like their soups. What's wrong with soup? Maybe the salt. I can give them too much salt, but anyways.
They got low sodium options.
if it's the same, like if you look at the cellular structure of like, this is getting a little nerdy, but of like meat, like the protein itself, if it's lab grown, like cultured that way versus like going out and like butchering a cow or something, if it's the same structure, do you care? Would you care?
It's the arrow farms of the livestock industry.
I've had lab grown meat. It's a little lean, like it's not as marbled. It doesn't taste quite as good. They're working on that, but it's meat. I don't think I care, and that's just me. I'm just like, oh, why'd you do that? Well, yeah, my body's a trash compactor until I go to the hospital. But no, I just I don't.
As long as there isn't a problem within like the DNA of the meat, or there's like some sort of genetically modified problem that's gonna cause some sort of issue with our digestive system, then I have no problem.
You're saying your poop glows in the dark after eating Campbell's soup? What? So I guess
I don't know. I started getting these ulcers.
I think it's kind of a very interesting argument because everybody's like, oh, climate change and all of this stuff. And sure, you can measure this stuff. You can see it on the measurements, but let's talk about like cow farts and methane and just the ranching, like just the amount of footprint of emissions that entire industry makes. So if you're lab growing this stuff, I imagine that footprint's a lot smaller. So I don't know. I'd give lab grown meat a chance, but if Campbell's going to do that, then they should probably label it at least, so then they don't get like this outcry.
Yeah,
just
like tell people.
I don't know. I think there's an opportunity here because it's overblown. They've been restructuring. They've had problems. We've bought them based on that stuff. I like goldfish, which is highly processed and irregular. But if you have children and you don't have goldfish, I don't know, what are your children like? Mutant children or something. But no, see, I'm not seeing even with that like this crazy all this PR that they got.
It was a blip.
There's not really
Yeah.
any justifiable reason for that because like their total assets are basically flat. They dropped and then they came back. Let's look at it annually. So let's big picture this thing. So I'll be quick here. Total assets increasing
Up.
over 5 years. Total liabilities, they're increasing, but not as much. So yeah, so what do we got here? 30%, and then we're going up there and do some crazy math. That's about the same, so not too bad. If you look at the total outstanding stock, where are we going to stop? Cumulative stock, treasury stock, common stock. There we go. Outstanding shares. Total shares outstanding. They are less, so they are not diluting their shares. Keep that in mind. Anytime you see an Alley Capital, which we own that stock, and you see, hey, we're issuing another couple $1 billion of debt, I cry. Stop doing that. You're diluting me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like all my jokes. I say jokes and people just kind of gloss over it.
You say too many jokes. You're diluting your jokes.
I'm self-deluded. What'd you say? I'm deluded? What'd you call me? So operating income, that's down. We would have expected that too because they're retooling. They said that. They said it was coming. It showed up in the earnings report. Not a surprise. Operating expenses, up a lot. Not good. But that's also part and parcel to what they're doing. So let's go to net income. Yep, also down. Okay, and then we go to cash flow, and then we're going to look at Kimberly-Clark right after this too, because I can't get into the numbers too much on screen, because when I do, people are like, oh God, he's talking about math, and he's getting excited. Oh, they bled through a lot of cash. Okay, that doesn't look as good as I would have hoped. Let's go to dividend checks. Can they afford it? I don't think they will with that small amount of cash. Come on, there it is. Come on, dividends, hurry. All right. Okay. Yeah, and look, no pay raises. Well, they did 6%.
Once.
I guess they've announced.
Well, that was
raise.
2020 to 2021. That was pandemic raise because everybody was buying it.
Yeah,
So they're scared.
What does that tell you about the underlying business, though? Like Kimberly-Clark does amazing during panic cycles, so during recessions, these guys are going to do great.
Yeah.
Their payout ratio is a little high for me, and their coverage ratio is a little low. They can pay it, but it's too tight. Now, this gets into a philosophical argument. It's like, does that make it a good time to buy it? Well, maybe, but attend their earnings call. Look at their investor presentation. If you want to do any of that, buy an ETF and VTI and VOO and chill.
They are down.
That's what I'd say. They are down.
But is it their floor?
I don't think it is.
Can they go down further?
Because their numbers looked worse a few years ago. Now they're seemingly looking better. And they're almost done retooling. We're buying Kenvue. Boom. This is Kimberly-Clark. Not Kimberly-Clark, is it? Yeah, Kimberly-Clark.
Yeah, it's Kimberly-Clark, yeah.
Look at
It
that.
dropped.
25%. That's opportunity. Even this year, they're down 23%. They got bludgeoned, man.
They did.
Market Edge says avoid. Now, in case if you're wondering why we make fun of Market Edge, they're a technical stock trader, and there's some good information if you learn about their research on. Like you can pull it up here, and it'll show you all the fun numbers. Yep, and you can see if it's improving, if like what the candle charts show, what the fear and greed index show, and like right now it's showing that it's oversold, and that's about the time that we kind of want to buy. So they agree with us on some things. But Kimberly-Clark, let's take a look at now. I'm going to temper this because they're making an acquisition. When they do that, the business that they're acquiring has some problems. That's why they're being acquired. You're going to see their assets go up a lot, but you're going to probably see their liabilities jump a little bit too, and their net margin is going to decrease. So when you look at a stock that's doing that, you want to go into the dividend checks and you want to make sure that there's enough of a payout and coverage ratio to take care of things. And right now, it don't look so good.
Right.
So you got the 107% covered. They are covered. You got that payout ratio 92%. And this gets back into that philosophical argument of, well, do we buy them or do we just wait? So I don't know. I don't know what we should do for that one.
Well, they're getting beat up over the acquisition and a couple other things, but what's going to happen after the, I don't know.
You got Johnson and the guys over at Johnson and Johnson are like, ha ha, suckers. We dumped them. Why are you buying? No, I don't know. It's
well, they're taking on a lot of debt because Johnson & Johnson dumped a lot of debt on the Kenvue and say, here, take it.
Yeah, and then you got the lawsuits coming at Pfizer. So if we're going to go up the thing.
Yeah.
UPS. Boy, I don't know. Well, I do know that I want to buy Rumble. But before we jump into some of this stuff, and I'm not going to buy a lot of Rumble, I'm going to buy a teeny little bit. Let's talk about like macroeconomics. So let's do a thought study and jump in if you guys want to jump in. It's kind of creepy having a bunch of people watch and like nobody says anything. It's kind of like you're laying on bed at night, and then if you got kids, they just kind of stand next to your bed until you wake up.
Like, staring at
jeez.
At you? That's creepy.
They do that. They little kids do it. It's because they're nervous about like waking up mommy and daddy, but then they have to like actually wake you up. No, I'm not.
I taught my kids early on not to wake me up because I will punch them.
That's great parenting right there.
They always go to mom's side.
No, my kids will. They'll go to her side for little tiny things, but like 2 nights ago, last night it was Christmas. Like 1 o'clock in the morning, I thought she did not go downstairs. She did not open the presents. She didn't. She's like, I smelled this weirdness. It was kind of in the middle of a dream. I was kind of half in it, half out of it, and she's standing next to the bed, and she's like, Daddy, I threw up. And it was like all over. Like, oh God, why? it's really late. Why am I doing this? And it was nice all over her bed. And
yeah, that's awesome.
It was not pleasant. So like,
I'm glad I'm done with that.
Parent, the things that you deal with as a parent, you can't explain it. And somebody's like, oh well, I've got my sister's got kids or whatever. Or I know somebody's got kids. I babysit. It ain't the same.
It ain't the same.
It is not
you can
the
give
same.
them back.
You can give them back. You don't get it 24/7. And if you've had 3 hours, because I did the night before, I only had like 3 hours of sleep. I don't know why. And you're trying to just get back to sleep after being exhausted, and then they wake you up, and now you got to go clean up puke.
Yeah. Get them into the bathtub, get them cleaned up, and send them back to bed.
Oh, it's an amazing feeling. It's like yesterday we were hosting for Christmas, and it smelled kind of weird, kind of like this musty, too much humidity problem. So I went downstairs and we got this something called like an HRV system. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically your bathroom fans. It takes in fresh, clean air, puts it through kind of a heat exchanger. The air doesn't mix, but it warms up the cold air or cools down if it's too hot. Puts it into your return ducts, and then you get clean, fresh air constantly through your house. Well, because of those differences in temperature, it like creates a lot of humidity, and it was draining. Well, it was draining into this like little sump system that it's a brand new system that the guy put in 2 drains. They kind of came in right here at a T, and then it went down. But like both the sides of the drain kind of went into each other, and they were both with tons of water in them. So there's like no pressure or no way for air to get in there for the water to drain. So I had all this water like everywhere in this big puddle. And I thought, oh, well, crap. So I shut off the system. I pulled the pump out. I'm looking at it. I'm going, well, I got to fix this somehow. And, I'm looking at it. I said, well, maybe I should plug this back in. And I had loosened the little, the what do they call those? Like the metal tighteners. It's like a O-ring, like a metal O-ring, go like a grip. So I was loosening the O-ring on it, and I loosened it. The pump turned on. Now, HRV systems, when they pull in like the fresh, cold air, there's a bunch of bugs and stuff that kind of like spiders and things that get in there. And it's been a few months since I had been in there last. So you're talking like months of buildup, and we're in the woods of spiders, mosquitoes, and just nastiness.
Oh
and
my!
This pump is like sucking it up, and I'm leaning right over it, like just over it. And my wife's, she's behind me. And she goes, well, is it going to fix it? I said, well, I don't know. I got to make sure this thing works. And I bumped it. And there was enough water in there to turn it on with that O-ring loose. The pipe spurts out. The water goes right up in my eye. It was disgusting. And it's just pumping everywhere. I'm like, oh, God. And I had to like grab the power cord, try to pull that out. And it was like you could see like little parts of mosquitoes and crap in my hair. It's like, oh. So not as bad as cleaning up the puke on Christmas, but I eventually got it fixed. I got rid of the tea and I cleaned it all up. And my method for cleaning all the crap out of there is I took the filters out and I grabbed a 5-gallon bucket of very soapy hot water from our system, and I said, stand back. I just took the bucket and I went right into the inside of it. Don't do this, people. The electronics freaked out, said it was super high humidity because there's more water everywhere. We had towels trying to clean it up. I was like, this is disgusting. I was like, this is not what I want to be doing on Christmas.
Nope.
So I have had 2 days of grossness and very bad sleep. So I apologize in advance for all the rabbit trails. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen tonight. I hope nothing happens now. Maybe I can actually get some sleep tonight. But fun times. So while that was happening, I'm hopefully my eye isn't like pink or something from that. But this is I was thinking about. You said you wanted to talk about, and believe it or not, yes, this actually did go through Tom's mind. No, I don't have a life. But I was thinking about the debt that you were talking about. So before we buy these stocks, we have to look at macroeconomics a little bit. There's 2 stories going on right now. You've got the left that right now says that we're all going to die. Trump's going to kill everybody. It's going to be the apocalypse. It's horrible. It's terrible. He's the spawn of Satan. Like they think it's like you can't say anything at all. It's just all apocalypse, like which is usually right up my alley. But
where's it mostly
extreme.
Zombie apocalypse though?
it was insane. So I don't know. It's too much. Then you got the right that's like, well, we got to fix this. And they're doing all these things. Some of them are not so good. But like the stuff that they're doing is going to take time. So is it beneficial? Some of it is not right now, but long term, maybe it will be. So you've got this like huge chasm of like, well, maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't. In the meantime, you've had a Mag 7 party in the AI and tech industry with just a bunch of free, cheap, easy money with the Fed having rates at basically negative interest. Like it was basically free money for like 2-3 years. And then now they're finally starting to tighten that. Like I do not like quantitative easing. I am much more a fan of quantitative tightening. And I have children. I don't want to see them be destroyed by this right here. That's a lot of debt. So
38 trillion. Yeah.
When you're looking at buying stocks for 2027 or 2026, 2027, and you're trying to figure out like, okay, well, which of these positions is going to benefit the most from whatever comes our way, you have to take into account for like how much inflation, the debt load, if there's going to be any austerity at all, because Doge was supposed to do that, and then Elon gave up. I don't think that's good, but and he was not smooth with that at all. But like, if you go through all this stuff, like, how are you going to invest in at least break even? Because when the stock market crashes, it's typically around 40% for big recessions and 20%. So let's say the left is right, and this market does crash. Well, it's 40%. Well, let's say they're wrong. if the right is right and you see these increased gas prices, you can look at the latest inflation numbers, and even CNN admitted that, hey, there's no way to negatively spin these numbers. And you can go look it up if you want. We can look it up here, just comment. And they're saying, hey, like inflation's finally going down. The Fed's finally able to tighten a little bit, but there's a lot of if you look at their meeting minutes notes, there's like one guy that wanted to do 6 cuts, and there was one guy that wanted to like change it the exact opposite. Like nobody agreed in what to do with the fiscal policy, because financial policy dictates how easy lending is. And if you look at most businesses, they have debt. They need to have stuff, and most people don't just like, they're not like Bill Gates. They don't have billions of dollars sitting around. Like my company's no different. I don't have billions of dollars just like, oh, I'll just buy company office today. That one looks nice. How much is that? 10 million? Okay. You can't do that. So
Cash.
What the Fed does affects all this. And you can see, and just look at this one chart. I think, oh, did I just get paid? Okay, fine. Hang on.
Oh, what'd you do that for? I think what some people don't realize is how much $38 trillion really is. Now, if you were to take that and split it up among every person in the U.S., that's
my profile.
That's like $106,000 everybody would get. Every single woman, man, and child would get $106,000 from $38 trillion.
Oh, so man. Keep going, Brian. Sorry.
So that's incredible amount of money. So how much would it be? What is that? 38. Hang on.
I had this really nice chart to show everybody, and then apparently I idled too long, and it blocked the chart. Hang on.
That would make 380 millionaires, or 380 million millionaires.
It's a lot of debt. Now there is M1, M2 money supplies that talk about this. Let's see, breaking the housing market, and where's my lender average prices? Home sellers are quitting. Oh, I'm too far back. Markets fall again, jobless claims. There it is. All right, we'll try this again. Let's see if it paywalls me again. This will be fun. Oh, it did.
It's your IP address.
Yeah.
VPN in somewhere. Completely screw up the stream.
Not live. Man, well, we had the chart up.
Dude. Why would you do that?
Cool. Let's see if somebody else has got it.
Hey, look at that. It's them. Okay, don't touch anything.
Okay, there we go. I'm gonna try to zoom out. I found it. Thank you, AI. I wonder when they're gonna finally, like, advertisers figure out how to lock that out.
They will.
Okay. All right. Continue, Brian.
I said it.
That was it. That was the whole thing.
Incredible amount of money. I got a whole bunch of stuff with Congress and all that stuff built up in me too.
So you've got this debt ceiling. That debt is tomorrow's bills, right? So when you're buying a stock, whatever company you buy, depending upon what interest rate they have today, which again, a few years ago was super low compared to what it'll be if the Fed raises rates or lowers rates. Like we had, if you watch the latest minutes, the Wolf Street had a really cool article about this last month where he said it was just a giant mess, where nobody could agree, which is kind of entertaining, but also kind of disturbing, because you had people on one side that said, hey, we need to lower rates a lot. Like one guy wanted 6 cuts, and then you had a couple people that said we need to raise rates. That directly affects these companies that you're investing in by how much money they have left over. So the problem that we're running into now is that you've got a massive amount of debt that's probably, in fact, here, we can do this. Does U.S. debt exceed GDP? Then this is the
interest. The interest exceeds.
There you go. So if you know what GDP is, GDP, gross domestic product, that is every man, woman, child, bird, goldfish, and dog working. And yes, it exceeds it. And I think it was only a few years ago that it did that. So when you're looking at, it is higher than the post-World War II peak. You're looking at 2020. The reason why we say 2020 COVID, we want to see that come off the balance sheets because the government printed a buttload of money. I'm probably have to unsubscribe from this stuff, and you can see it. Like just the first chart. Like if you were to not take anything else away from this whole chat, look at that. 1980 to today. That's crazy. Somebody's got to pay that bill at some point. At some point, that's going to come due.
The interest payments are $970 billion on that. $970 billion. We're almost to $1 trillion in interest on that 38 trillion mountain of debt.
I think it was like 60%, 68%, something like that. Yeah, 970 billion. This is wow, this is wrong. Well, AI is interesting. It gets it right sometimes. This time it didn't do that.
It got pretty close. The defense.
Yeah, but I think every economic indicator now, and by the way, you're like, oh well, the left and the right and the politics. This has been brewing for years. This is not something that just magically showed up yesterday. You're looking at from 1980, we've been having a party all the way till now. So the past 45 years, this has been going on.
And this is Republicans and Democrats. So you can't really say, I think Clinton was the only one that had some sort of semblance of a budget that was balanced.
No, it was Clinton. It was all Clinton. And yeah. Obama and Bush and Carter and Ross Perot and Trump
but Ross Perot wasn't president.
It was all of them.
It was all of them.
It was all of them.
Let me show you something. There's got the chart.
Ross it's Perot. Like that crazy uncle in the basement. Nobody wants to talk about it, but everybody knows they're there. Love that.
So this has just been going for years and years and years, and it's something. I think this is the number one issue for Americans today, not the geopolitical climate and wars and people attacking us, not, abortion or any of those other things. This is the one thing that every American has in common. This debt is going to kill all of us eventually.
So since we're talking about like partying and getting laid,
right. All right. Let's make babies.
We're going to coincide. Now, this is going to be like, what are they talking about? Now, this is going to be coinciding this debt number that Brian and I have been talking about to demographics. The United States, now this is across the whole planet. In order for and stay with us. I'll tie it in. It'll make sense. At some point, it'll make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, let me know. But the fertility rates, in order for a country to natively and naturally replace its own population, one for one, they said that you need, now there's arguments happening right now about whether or not it's 2.43 or 2.1 or whatever. But they're saying that you need to have at least a fertility rate of 2.1. South Korea, you got to get off your phone, man. Go on a date or something, but 7.73, like they're not replacing their people. Demographically, we have a huge problem. Unless you are in Africa or middle South Africa, you are not replacing your population. Russia's at 1.46, United States is 1.62, Canada's 1.34. This is if you go back to the left versus the right. This is why Democrats are letting people in. Republicans are not really forward thinking on this part. Now, sure, let people in. I agree with that. Don't let the criminals in, but
legally.
Yeah, I mean, if they're a refugee or there's something going on, I think a lot of people that are, I'm going to get political for a second. I think a lot of people are coming in, have really, really crappy situations that they're in, and that we should probably be a little bit more compassionate for that. Maybe. The whole thing could get fixed if we actually funded the immigration instead of just building walls or like trying to fund I don't know. Both parties got it wrong. I don't. It's stupid.
Let's fix immigration. Let's make it easier to come in, so it doesn't take 10 years, but also make it so that it's secure, so we're not letting in the wrong type of people.
Right. So, like I said, bear with me. If we go back into the total fertility rates here, not a single country in the developed world has a fertility rate above 2. There's like one exception. Actually,
I mean,
no,
China can
one.
stand to lose a few people. I mean, once you hit the 2 billion mark, it's
Kazakhstan,
India.
They're at 2.98. I mean, there's not a lot here. And the reason why I'm getting into this is one of our stocks is an REIT. It's an LE Capital. And, well, Tom, this is going to affect us today. No, it's not going to affect you today. But most large businesses are going to be needing a way to grow somehow, whether financially or for more people, for products to come into. Now, these demographics are not including conflict. China right now is circling Taiwan. That's a problem, especially if you hold TSMC, Qualcomm, or NVIDIA, and they invade. Well, most of your chips that NVIDIA needs to sell products are coming out of that region. That's a big problem. But let's talk a little bit about how demographics play into part too. You have a shrinking population within 10 years. That means you have less customers to sell to. And there's not really a whole lot of exceptions on this list. The last administration, what they were trying to do is they were trying to bring people in to offset this number. Now, granted, there is a cultural issue with that, which means you can't eliminate the culture that we have by just throwing 15,000 cultures into it. It's not a good thing. I agree with that. You should not do that. However, this is a problem. 1.62 is an issue. So when you're looking at 1.62 and you're looking at the fertility rates here, we are going to have a big growth issue in a very probably within 10 years. I think they're saying a boomer population is going to start having issues like with health and dying off and decreasing the share of people they have in the United States by 2030, 2035. Not that I want anybody just to die off. But
Also, let me interject that you also need those people to be able to pay into Social Security to pay the Social Security of people coming up, or people that are retiring, right? So if you have less people in the system and you got a large number of people who are retiring, there's not going to be funded enough for those people to get those Social Security payments.
Now, with that said, why does this matter? The United States has a massive $38 trillion of debt. We have demographics. Not, again, look at this map. Not just the United States. Where are these people going to come from? Probably Africa, anywhere, as long as there's not like huge amounts of genocide going on, because there are, and there's big problems over there right now, and it's very sad. Lots of starvation, lots of ethnic cleansing, lots of Christians versus Muslims versus all, like it's a bad situation. It needs to be fixed, honestly. A lot of corruption too. But in the whole world, that's the only place where we're able to replace our people. So let's think about that. $38 trillion of debt, a declining population, conflict, an aging population. Who's going to pay that bill?
Exactly.
And how is that going to affect your business? Well, they're talking, and the left was right. Inflation is going to be an issue, and it's not just going to be an issue here. You're going to see some problems with a business who's trying to sell and grow to customers. Let's look at Kimberly-Clark. You've got a 25% cut of the, or I'm sorry, 25% cut of the population. So if you got 100 people to sell to, now you have 75. You got 75 people to sell your toilet paper to because there's less people. This is just, I'm not being, I hope it doesn't like conflict. Like I hope it's not a conflict thing. But like you have now your net income is now 25% less. It's not going to happen overnight. Who are you going to sell to if you have less customers? And when you have less customers, you have less net revenue, which means you're paying less money into government coffers. The government coffers, like for state funding, federal funding, are going to have a lot less money. We are now paying almost $1 trillion in debt interest payments right now. So you have less people, you have less customers, less money. AI can fix some of this. Robotics can help some of that. I think there's a way out. But this is why you see the left trying to say, hey, get people in, because they want to keep that growth engine running. There's another video too, I think, on that perspective that's very interesting to watch. It's called The Little Red Balls, and it talks about it's not like a pornography or anything, but it's about like immigration, and it talks about the types of people that are coming into the United States versus the ones that are left behind in these other countries, and it's actually quite sad when you look at it. He talks about the ones that get here are the ones that are often very well educated, that have the means to get out, which is like a brain drain across the world. The ones that are left are really, they don't have the education, they don't have the means, they don't have the connections, they don't have the ability to fix their problems. So we have a problem here where, like, if you're looking at all of these things coming to a head, we're going to have inflation because of the debt, and then we're also going to have deflation. This is a weird thing to think about, because there's less people to sell to. So when you're investing over the next 10 years, and you look at these dividend checks, your lottery ticket becomes incredibly difficult to get if you're looking for the next NVIDIA stock. And congratulations if you bought them. That's amazing. But that's a problem too, because there's going to be a lot less opportunity like that. When you're looking at businesses like this, like Campbell Soup and some of the other ones, I think they can innovate through automation. We have a lot of Dow heavy stocks in here. Like there's a lot of manufacturing, and there's a big problem right now in construction. If you look at Caterpillar and some of the other ones, where there's just not enough people, not enough plumbers, not enough electricians, not enough carpenters. It kind of ebbs and flows every generation. But in this case, I think these businesses are going to be able to innovate to it. Like, I hate to say it, but probably less factory jobs, but at the same time, the business is still able to sell to. I think the fact that they're going to be able to, in our portfolio, like Coca-Cola is another good example, because they can innovate through AI and robotics and get more profit that way, and not have to pay the biggest overhead of most businesses, which there's debt, liability, and payroll. They can offset those population losses with automation. Well, Tom, any business can do that. Not necessarily. Not every business is going to be able to, like, sell a car. Like, what are you going to have a robot drive a car? Maybe your Uber, maybe your Lyft, but like a general population thing. Like, it's got to be products that people can typically have. So if you're dealing with both an inflation problem on one end and then deflation on the other end, you need to have businesses over the long term that can understand and navigate through that. Does that mean that, like, we're talking apocalypse, that the world is going to end? It's going to be like this for the next 10 years? I don't think so. I don't think this, like, I think that's like worst case scenario. I think that if we look at like this map here and this chart here, I think what you're going to be seeing is somewhere in the middle. It's going to be somewhere where, like, the Republicans say it's going to be great. I don't think it'd be as great as they say it is, but I also don't think that on the Democratic side that they're going to say, oh, it's going to be horrible, horrible. I don't think it's as bad as they say it's going to be. So typically when I talk about this stuff, and for those of you tuning in, those of you who like come back later, I think we're going to look at somewhere in the middle. So don't take my statements here saying that, oh, this is going to be a huge problem. It is going to be a problem, but I don't think it's going to be a apocalyptic one. I think we're going to find a way through that. But as you invest in businesses, you need to keep this stuff in mind, especially with the fact that oil companies, as we talked about earlier in the stream, they trade on margins, and when the product price per barrel of oil goes down, their margin is thinner, and we just saw that with both stocks. If you looked at the dividend, what do they call it, the payout ratio and the coverage ratios for both those, you can see that today they are much lower than they were just even a year or two ago when Biden was in office. That's what happens. So in this case, what do you buy?
You know what? I agree with a lot of what you said. There's still two problems that we're not addressing. Is one, none of this addresses the national debt. Whatever companies do, they cannot pay down the national debt. Takes Congress. Congress has to stop spending and start budgeting so that they could pay down the national debt. Two, if it keeps going up and up and up and they keep kicking the can down the road, eventually you're going to run out of road. You're not going to be able to kick that can anymore, and we're going to default. And if we default and we keep just printing money to keep it going, we keep devaluing our dollar, there's going to be a currency that is going to replace us as the world's currency, right?
BRICS, anyone?
And BRICS, or even, China, who knows which one. One of them is going to surpass the US dollar. And when we can no longer just sell our debt, and there's multiple countries that are willing to pay that and buy that, then we're in a world of hurt. I mean, we're talking an economic crash at that point, because then we won't be able to pay on our debt. So that's one huge problem that I see, is we need to get Congress to work together to actually pay down that debt, to get some sort of budgeting system so that they don't keep spending. I think I agree with Warren Buffett when he said to solve this, you just have them pass a law that states that if every year you do not have a budget that is balanced, all of Congress gets fired and we have new elections.
I like that. I like
So
that.
in order to keep your office, you have to have a balanced budget.
I like that rule. I don't know if it'll ever happen though.
Well, no, because it has to ask that. It has to take an act of Congress to be able to do that. Nobody's going to. The incumbents aren't going to do that. You'd have to get new people in to agree to that. But so that's one huge problem that I see, and that's why I wanted to bring up the national debt. It's $38 trillion. It's getting close to a point where you can't kick it down the road anymore. I mean, once we hit $1 trillion of just interest payments, we don't have enough taxes to pay for this.
Not with the demographics, not with
Right.
this going on.
And it's just going to get worse and worse with less and less people. So they either have to raise taxes to make up for that loss, or they have to budget and get rid of programs. I mean, Doge was doing that in a very rip and replace. I mean, maybe not even replace, but a
It was
very
just ripping. Everything was
ripping
getting, like ripped
thing out. And I
In a bad
agree
way.
with what they're doing, maybe not how they're doing it, but I agree with what they're doing. They need to look at every single governmental program out there and figure out, okay, where's this money going and why, and do we really need it? There's a lot of programs that probably don't need to be there.
Here's the problem with doing that. The government, unfortunately, is the United States' largest employer, whether you're talking state and local or federal. That's most of the people working.
Yeah, but when you look at all the people who have been laid off through government, many of those have found private sector jobs.
Right, but you start doing it en masse, though. It's like, what do you do? You're going to have 26 different, like, lawn care maintenance guys or police officers applying for the same job. If that's
Right.
I don't think it'll get that
Eventually,
bad.
you're going to run into a point where there's no more jobs to give these people. I agree. I'm not saying get rid of all programs, but it really needs to be scrutinized, and the waste needs to be cut.
We just need flying cars, man. You don't have to pay for all the roads all the time. No more potholes.
Self-flying cars.
Self-flying cars. You are experiencing an accident. Like, hell I am. That Will Smith movie. What was that? iRobot?
Hi, robot.
Self-flying
I think
cars.
it would have to be. You can't let people fly their own cars, especially when there's thousands and thousands. You'd have to have flight lanes, and they all are connected to each other, so they know they're aware.
Can you
and they
imagine,
don't
like,
run
drunk
into each other.
driving? There'd be pretty severe consequences. You'd see, like, explosions and craters and stuff. It would not be good.
I think they'd just be running into the ground all the time.
So,
So yeah, that is the biggest problem that I see right now. That's my biggest worry.
And when I look at we just talked about all this, the financials, like when I say inflation and deflation, it shows up. When we I just looked at the worst performing, what I see is the best opportunities for us to buy right now. Everything we just talked about is showing up in their financial statements. The market's largely ignoring the red flags that we just beat into I don't know, like a dead horse.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It's been
And I
ignoring
equate that
it,
to the economy. The economy is still doing rather well. And people still have money to put into this stuff.
for now.
For now. And they're
Until the
propping it
party
up. They're
stops.
keeping the market going.
I could do Procter and Gamble. That's another one. So for all of you turning in just now, you have to stream back. I don't want to talk about it all over again. Welcome. I get on a nerdy soapbox. If you like hearing nerd rant about nerdy things, then definitely go back and watch again. Actually watch and bring it into a retirement community. Have them watch. They'll be super excited. If they need their nap, it'll be great because they'll fall asleep and then workers can get their stuff done. And yeah, so here's total. What I'm looking at now is a Procter & Gamble. So I'm looking at assets, total assets. This is... they look okay.
I had a second point.
Oh,
my
really?
second point, yeah,
You have more
was
than
immigration.
one?
Yeah,
Okay, go for it.
What you talked about immigration, about letting people in, and how the Democrats were doing. There is an argument, and we could play devil's advocate or whatever. There's an argument on the Republican side, and there is some evidence to support this, that they were letting in people, giving them all this money and phones and shipping them to places so that they will vote Democrat. So they're diluting districts that are generally Republican with these illegal immigrants, trying to make it legal for them to vote so that they'll vote Democrat and they'll win, right?
Way to play the fence ever so slightly there. I would say I would compound this. There is a lot of evidence, not a little bit, but at the same time, you've got gerrymandering going on the other side. So it's kind of like, well, you know.
Well, gerrymandering's been going on forever, since Jerry did the first gerrymandering, right?
Is that really a person that did that?
Yeah, there's a person who began it, and so look who was the first gerrymander.
I'm gonna look at that. Yes, gerrymandering comes from a person, Elbridge Gerry, the governor of Massachusetts in 1812, combined with the word salamander. Really? Okay. He approved a bizarrely shaped legislative district to benefit his party, which a newspaper cartoon likened to a winged salamander, leading to the portmanteau gerrymander. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really?
So it's been going on for a long, long time, and I agree with kind of the Trump way of fixing this is having a independent committee made up of Republicans, Democrats, and independents to make the lines. So like the incumbents can't change any of the demographics. They can't change any of the voting lines, any of the districting. It's an independent group that, you could probably pay millions of dollars and they could do whatever you want. I'm sure it's corruptible, but at least it's a step in the right direction of making it more fair. But yeah, it was very seedy. It's shady about how they've all been going around this, and we need to secure the border to not let criminals or just anybody in, and have the pipeline for legal immigration to be easier so that we could let in the right people, like you were saying.
So let's talk about that with regard to what stocks we're supposed to buy, because we're running out of time. I've got, I thought originally it was going to be Kimberly-Clark and Campbell Soup, but I'm not. For my personal portfolio, maybe, but their payout ratios and coverage ratios look pretty abysmally bad. In fact, when I went all the way up through everything except for Rumble, I haven't looked at Rumble yet, they all look kind of bad. But it also looks bad at the top, too. So when you're looking at both sides of it, it's kind of like, well, all right, we have maybe an opportunity, but what you would expect from Kimberly-Clark, DuPont, these kinds of businesses, that they're more of economic indicators than they are growth indicators, which means we're due for trouble. The only two that looked okay are Procter & Gamble and American States and Water. So we went from really exciting soups and like military war rations and toilet paper to shaving creams and soaps and household consumables and utilities. Yeah, we got this nailed, man.
That's why, it's sometimes not easy.
I think with all this said, now, and just so anybody knows, like our thesis here is you got to pay attention to this stuff. You got to pay attention to macroeconomics, how it affects everything. But you also have to make investment decisions that will guide you through those things safely. There's been a lot of talk. Where's Annaly Capital? Here they are. So there's a lot of talk about Annaly Capital's positions are improving. Their prospects are improving with rates going down. But, we just talked about demographics. There's got to be people to buy these houses. And if like immigration isn't happening in the United States, I don't think the customer base is going to be as good as they say it will be. And by the way, they also just issued a ton of shares. Or an offering again, because so it sounds like their management team knows that as well. So, are we going to sell them? No, they pay a really nice dividend, but I wouldn't expect them to be growing a lot beyond what they already have. They might get back to where they were a few years ago, but we have demographics, debt, and federal rates are going to play a huge. Like they impact these guys probably more than almost anybody else on this list,
right?
Because
you got United Health.
That's true. Yep. Well, they'll do good for the next 20, 25 years. Where are they?
They're down.
Yeah, right here.
Down. Stop there. So they're up 0.5%.
I can't buy them. They're up. They're making us money. I can't do that. My vote this month, right now, I think personally I'll buy Kimberly Clark and Campbell Soup because I love that juicy qualified dividend. I don't think it's going anywhere. And then probably for dividend dudes, the safer of the two that are not making a ton of money, that are not too heavily weighted. I mean, you could throw United Health in there too, but you've got American States and Water and Procter and Gamble, and then in a few weeks we could probably add to the other one. But
we could do that. I mean, they're both down. They both will lower our cost basis.
Yeah, because if you look at Kimberly Clark and Campbell's, you've got 6,000, 7,000, and then these guys are only 4 and 4 roughly.
Yeah.
So that might be a good way.
And then 500 into rum or 400 or 300 or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's 100. What we'll do.
120.
And so let's do that. Let's buy any disagreements before I do?
Nope, I'm good with that.
All right, so we're gonna buy shaving cream. How about that? I gotta pull out my calculator because I don't want to do math in my head. It's the day after Christmas. I've done enough math. All right, so calculate. We're gonna I'll give him $1,000. How about that? I can buy 6 shares. We're not going to do a limit or anything like that. Actually, I'm going to do 7 because that puts me right just over 1,000. That makes more sense. Okay, so we'll do that. Procter & Gamble. See, we told you we'd buy a stock. Buying a stock
Done.
Today. All right, so that's Procter & Gamble. Filled already, instantly. It's like office space, making a penny.
But it's like 7 stocks.
All right, so we did Procter & Gamble, and now we need to do American States and Water. Now, they had, I'm a little bit leery about the finances with these guys, but as far as the dividend goes, they're the best covered. So we'll see. I'm not like, they've beat their earnings every time.
Except for second quarter.
I'm just not as excited about these guys like I was AT&T back in the day or 3M. It's like there's not... The problem with the market today is there's not the opportunity that there was like at the beginning of the year. It's just not there. But you still have to buy. So here
Unlucky 13 shares.
Okay, we did that. And now we're going to go here.
Rum dee dum dum, rum a rum rum.
Yeah, we'll do so. How much do I have left? 238 bucks? Okay, we'll do Rumble. Sell all shares. Oh, 238.
No.
Say 225, right?
There you go, Rumble.
Done and done. Where does that bring us? So for those of you checking this out,
Playing with the home game.
there you go. That's how we do it.
All right. And that brings
312.
our... Okay, 312.
312.93.
Boom.
Qualified. 312.
Shoot, yeah. Almost at 400. Another couple months.
Just in time for our insurance liability renewal to come in where it kicks me in the teeth and I got to use dividends for that.
Ah,
That's it. We made a purchase. We did it.
we did.
We talked about everything, including like people needing to get laid more. So it was a very productive day.
It was. Make babies. Pay my Social Security.
Yep. That's right. You're old, man.
I've got a bunch of years left to get Social Security, but I need people to pay that.
Right.
I paid the baby boomers.
So for next month, AT&T is still low. These are the ones that are low. ExxonMobil maybe. Chevron maybe. We looked at Chevron. They don't look too good. So maybe
Chevron.
United Health.
United Health, yeah.
Okay. I think that's what we'll be doing. We'll be looking at those. And if anybody's got anything that they want us to talk about, throw us a chat, send us a message, and we'll take a look at those too. So that's all I have for
Yep.
today.
Put them in the comments if you're seeing this after the stream.
Yeah. I appreciate everybody sticking around for so long. This is a long day, a long stream today, but we had to make a purchase, so I had to. Sometimes it's easier for Brian and I to like think about this stuff live, real time, process this stuff through our head, thinking about who's gonna navigate the weirdness that we see in the market, who's gonna navigate it the best, how it's gonna affect us, and what positions the best to buy. We're not ready to buy a new business just yet. I got to get Rumble up to at least match where we were, close to where we were with Intel.
Yep.
But once we get there, we'll probably be looking at another one at that point. So,
And make sure you write your congressmen, your representatives, and tell them and demand that they budget their damn. God,
I'm
what
sure
am I
they'll
trying
get
to
right
say?
on that.
They
No,
balance
they-
the budget. That's what I'm saying. Make sure that they balance the budget. Demand that.
There we go. Even our portfolio
Nope.
has a little bit of an ebb and flow, you know?
A little bit.
Not much. That's what you want,
It's
though.
it's a lot flatter than most, and that's what we like.
I wish it was more exciting. Honestly, I wish YouTube was more like, oh, we're buying this. It goes up. It was because it would be more watch worthy. It'd be more exciting to see it. But I don't
We
know.
could lose money like the rest of them
I don't want to do that.
and have it go
I'm-
boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, we ain't doing that. We're not talking about the exciting stuff. So I think that's it for the stream. So for those of you tuning in, rewind. Thank you for tuning in.
Like,
we,
subscribe,
we will be
do all
back.
those things.
I will be back probably in 2 weeks. Brian will be back Monday, right?
Hopefully Monday.
Monday and Friday, and then I'll probably
Yep.
join the following week. So if you got something you want us to talk about, shoot us a message. Brian will talk about it, and then we'll get her done.
Yeah, the following week I will not be on stream because that's my surgery.
Oh, that's
Friday.
right.
So I will be out that day, and then the following Monday I will be high on opioids. So that's just being a fun one. Who knows what I'll be talking about that day?
Brian's going to be super medicated, so that's exactly when we're going to be streaming. He won't even remember it. We'll just kind of have him sit there and talk, and for this will be rare for me. I'll just sit there and just kind of watch him. And we'll see
Laugh
what
your
he
ass
says.
off.
All right. Well, I think that's it. I hope everybody had a good Christmas. Brian, you got anything to add?
Just Happy investing.
Happy investing. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.